Hello, and welcome to another episode of For the Love of Sports. My name is Michael Rasile. This is a show where we get to talk about sports, we get to talk about business, and we get to talk about everything in between. Wherever you're listening, however you're listening, you know exactly what to do. 5-star review on Spotify, like and subscribe over on YouTube, and on Apple. 5-star review and say something really nice about me and my incredible guest today. I have Timmy Gallagher. He's a mental fitness, leadership, and performance coach, as well as an Ironman finisher. Timmy, how you doing today, man?
Michael, good to see you, brother. How are you?
It's a great day to be alive.
Yes,
But aren't they all?
is. You get it the way you want it, and that's part of mental fitness.
Exactly. I'm a big fan of mental fitness, I guess. I don't know. Is that like the correct terminology? Maybe we'll get into that aspect in a little bit, but very excited to get to talk to you about all these things. I believe in a lot of them. I practice some of them. Little do you know, you told me a tip when we had our conversation a couple weeks ago, and I've been practicing ever since. So excited to learn a little bit more about that. But to me, the first question I have for everybody on the For the Love of Sports podcast is, why do you love sports so much?
Sports got me out of the sick bed. Truly, literally, growing up, very sickly. Allergies, asthma, the occasional. And when I say allergies and asthma, like really bad. I was my town's boy of the version of the boy in the plastic bubble. If you remember that movie going way, way back. And was constantly in the hospital with all these allergies and asthmas. And one year I remember I was in there and I heard of a doctor, a pediatrician, asthma guy giving some talk downstairs. Now, dig this. I literally wheeled myself down with my little IV in hand, stood in the back, as all these doctors and nurses. And after he was done, I wheeled up to it with my IV and said, "My name's Timmy. I think you can help me get better." So how could you say no, right? I mean, and we worked together since then. And actually, instead of like throwing me on a ton of meds and rip the carpet out and all that, we did do a lot of that. But he said, "We're going to get you into sports." And we started swimming. And that's how it started.
Would you look at that? Yeah, hard for that doctor to be like, "No, man, I'm a little busy right now. Sorry, kid." Like, yeah, pretty easy sell on your part. So kudos and congratulations. Shout out to you for doing that. So it sounds like swimming was the first sport. So my wife's a very big swimmer, so I always love watching it during the Olympics and the World Games or the World Cup, whatever the hell we're calling it these days. Well,
Right.
I guess why did he suggest swimming? First off, like I'm kind of curious why that sport.
I think because of the water and the medicinal value of it and keeping me out of the cold air on the road and running and soccer. And it was more controlled, shall we say. And I mean, once you get the skill of swimming, you can do it your whole life, right? It's one of those kind of sports. Like you can play football for so long, like serious football, right? And even me with my Ironmans, you can only run for so long, and the body's going to say, like, you're really beating us up. So I think that's why, yeah. And it went from there.
That makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. And you already brought up the Ironman, so excited to talk about that a little bit. I think swimming is, it's a really great way that you put it. It's controlled, right? Like there's really not too much that can go wrong. Not too many external factors, I guess, outside of other people in the pool that you can really count on. Is a good way of saying it, right? And then, as you said, you could swim your whole life. Like it's great. Mm-hmm. It's good for you. It's fun to some people, not to me, but to some people, they love swimming. So smart thing by that doctor. I guess when did you start to feel better? When did you start to be less of that boy in the bubble and more of just, a quote unquote normal kid again?
Yeah, it's a good question because I'm looking up to my right here, thinking grammar school, swimming, swam winter and summer. Excuse me. And the getting sick and the asthma, along with some meds, just some kind of inhaler stuff. It just started getting better. It took quite some time. And I would say by late grammar school, like 6th, 7th grade, I was pretty much good to go. I was not in the hospital every year anymore. Still might pop up, but probably by late grammar school, I was sort of good to go. And Then I found running while in grammar school with the track. Yeah.
When does biking come in? I'm curious.
Biking does not come in till cycling, like riding, post college.
Oh, okay. So you never, when did you run your first Ironman?
First Ironman distance?
Well, let's start with first triathlon. Let's baby steps.
First triathlon was in probably 88 or 89.
Okay.
So, and real quick, this is going to be a unique story you've never heard from someone on your show. So, graduated college in 88 and became a detective, a cop, basically. And so coming out of college, really youthful looking, and I was a runner, so thin, and they said, we want to put you undercover in a high school. So I did basic narcotics work for a while, and then I was in a high school, and I was a runner, I was a swimmer, and I got this notion I wanted to do a triathlon. So it's the late 80s, and this was very in, this Ironman stuff. And joined a Y that had like a triathlon group that swam. And I was just Tim McCoy, who was from the high school. And they all thought, this is sort of neat, this kid in high school doing a triathlon. And the undercover ended. And that summer I did my first triathlon. So it was 88, 89. Yeah, like 89. So here I'm at this, it's just a sprint triathlon. It's very short. Seeing everybody from the Y. And they're like, Tim, where have you been? We haven't seen you at the Y. And I'm like, I'll explain, but my last name's actually Gallagher. Bang, off we go. And did the swim, did the bike, did the run. And I remember it was a very local triathlon up in North Jersey. I came across the line, they just had a string across. And I hit the string, and I thought they did the string for everybody. Like, yeah, you finished. I won the darn thing. So the first triathlon I ever did, I won. They called me up. I got my award, and they're saying Tim Gallagher, and everyone from the Y is like, that's Tim McCoy. And I'm like, no. I was undercover. And now the race director was like, what do you mean you're undercover? This is a straight up race. And it was a huge scandal, Michael. So I had to explain to everybody who I really was and what I was really doing. But so 89, to answer your question, was my first triathlon.
Well, I appreciate the story and context around it. I think that adds a little humor and interest to it. But that's, I mean, yeah, what are the chances? Like, hey, man, like, could you explain to this group of people what your real name is, what you're doing here, and why you're doing it while you're trying to accept this award? So congratulations, Tim. If no one else did, let me be the first. But I think that's pretty funny. You always hear about, like, the older guy, I guess, like the college kid, the new deputy going to high school, kind of in the movies, and I kind of assumed there was a reason for it, but I think you're the first person I know that's ever been undercover. Were you undercover as a student?
Yeah, I got 3 A's and 3 B's. I did much better the second time around.
I hope so. You're a ringer, man. You were 22 years old. I hope you're doing a little bit better. So, well, again, congratulations on the grades.
Thanks.
Hopefully they do count towards something in the future. But no, man, I think it's awesome. I think that's such an interesting way to get into the triathlon side of things, because again, like I am curious. So you start running triathlon. I have so many questions to ask about the undercover cop, but I want to try and keep this on track a little bit.
So like you
yeah. Well, no, I have too many other questions that I got to get to. That that's a whole nother podcast. Let's do that one another time. We'll get into the deep dive of what it was like being an undercover cop, because I could ask those questions for an easy hour. That's not even hard. So I guess running this triathlon, getting into, I guess, what was it? So you liked running, you liked swimming. Why'd you want to put them together? Why couldn't you just swim a little longer or run a little longer? Or, hey, maybe I'll go for a nice bike ride today. What is it about triathletes and Ironman triathletes? We'll get to that in a second. Why do you have to do all 3 at once? Why can't you just do one? I don't get you guys and girls. You're crazy to me. Crazy.
Yeah, we're like Guinness beer. It's an acquired taste,
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. We're a couple days late, but yeah.
Yes. And it's so to sort of answer your question, so one of my main competitors, who is older than me, was one of the first guys that did one of the first triathlons in San Diego decades ago. A guy named Rush Jones, he's the original. And that was just a bunch of guys who swam and all that, and they were like, let's mix it up today. And in fact, the first one wasn't just swim, bike, run. They did a different kind of thing. And then the whole Ironman thing came out of a bunch of guys in Hawaii. They were debating who's the best athlete, a swimmer, a biker, or a runner, because they had all those three events on the island, these epic events. And they said, you know what? Let's put them all together and see who is the best. So it really was that kind of like a dare. It was, seemed like a good idea at the time. Nobody thought, like the Ironman, nobody thought that would become a thing. And they made a little award that looked like an iron stick man. And that's how it became Ironman. And it kept going. Now it's a multi-million-dollar business worldwide. Yeah, this whole idea of triathlons and Ironman. So I guess the answer is, just like the first sports developed with, hey, let's try this out. It's just the latest version of let's try it out. And, now you have like Xterra things where you do the off-road bike or you're canoeing. So just variations. Yeah.
Just trying to have fun. Just a bunch of people trying to have fun, I guess, if that's what it comes from. That's good. I think that is an interesting way of looking at who is the best athlete, right? We've all kind of had those conversations with our friends sitting around somewhere. Oh, I think it's basketball players. Oh, I think it's football players, baseball players, whomever, soccer, right? Like, and I'm trying to just have that argument. But when you're all doing it together and you're like, hey, let's see, I'm the best biker, you're the best runner, let's see who can finish this entire race. I think that's a fun way of doing it. And yeah, as you said, now it's a multi-billion-dollar business, million at least, probably 9 figures somewhere. But you're the third Ironman I've had on in like the last month. I don't know what it is.
Really?
Birds of a feather flock together. It comes in threes. Yeah, you're the third one, which is just kind of weird. I'm grateful for it because you guys, I'll tell you all to your face, you're crazy in my opinion, but I'm grateful that we have people like you on planet Earth to do that kind of stuff. And with Ironman, right, it's this insane, crazy long, 2-point-something mile swim, and then a however many mile bike ride, and an entire marathon on top of it.
Right.
Endurance to the absolute max, right? And I think that's a nice, easy segue into mental fitness, because I'm sure you did many of these triathlons, and yeah, I mean, they're hard. I'm not here to say they won't be. You do this, you do that, but it's not quite to that extent. Talk to me a little bit about your, I guess, mental fitness journey and kind of where that fits in the timeline of starting to do these races, starting to do these Ironman races specifically, and really understanding how powerful your mind is when doing these things.
Yeah. And it's really that mind-body combination, but let's put it together this way. So sick kid, sick of being sick and tired. Instead of running away from sports, let's go into it. Swimming, running, grammar school, high school, did pretty well with running in high school, did pretty well in college. So it was this idea of finding my best self by, instead of going easy, going hard. So it became a natural extension of, yeah, that looks crazy, this, kind of triathlon stuff. Let's do that. And I'm sure you've had athletes or no athletes where, the idea is that the mind usually quits before the body does. We can usually go a little longer. So the idea of getting better, going deeper, I think that was the segue. Mental fitness goes like this. Your brain, left on default, tries to keep it easy. Wants to burn less energy, wants to make things habit. And how that shows up in how you show up with people is we tend to look for what is wrong versus what is not right, what is possible. Which is interesting because the motto of Ironman is anything is possible. And that's a shameless plug for the Ironman brand. I'm not supported by them, but because what is wrong is our limbic system. Fight, flight, freeze, and then 2 other F's. Feed, which we need, and fornicate's the last one. So that they're the 5 F's of how the species survive, and that's your limbic system. It's a very primal part of your brain. And Mike, that part of your brain is, depending on which study you read, 3 to 5 times stronger than your right brain, prefrontal cortex, your more human side of your brain. So know that your default is, everybody's default, what is wrong versus what is possible. Because you're right, the idea of for today, I'm going to do 140.6 miles. Why? Is somebody holding a gun to your head? What is the categorical imperative that you must do this? It's about that idea of going deeper, going longer, bringing your best self out. It's not to hurt the body. I mean, doing an Ironman or anything like that, any sport, to just hurt yourself, it's not a good idea. Even a true pugilist, a boxer, will tell you it's not about bashing my brain. It's about being a pugilist, the art, the beauty of boxing. So pick your sport. There's an art, there's a beauty. And that speaks to why, as humans, that right brain and prefrontal cortex, we want something that's higher level, that speaks to beauty, truth, and, if I may, love. I mean, you can watch some athletes doing what they do in the zone, in the flow. It's beauty. It's lovely. It is really something to behold.
I completely agree with that. Pretty much all I do is watch sports, so those are my favorite. When you see someone in the zone, right, the pitcher that can't miss, the 3-point shooter that just gets absolutely crazy hot, right, now that we're watching March Madness, right? Yes. It's very easy to see those types of things, and someone just goes, 8 of 10 behind the 3-point line. This guy can't miss. He's on fire, right? And just seeing that, and while to some that doesn't sound beautiful, to me, like just watching Mike Trout play baseball, couldn't ask for any more. That's one of my favorite things to do. An offense in football that works just beautifully, right? There's so many things that, you're right. There's a lot of art to some of these things. I'm not the biggest fan of boxing or MMA or that kind of thing. It's not for me, but I can respect it, especially the art side of it, because there is absolutely a lot of stuff that I have no idea. Layman to those sports, no idea what's going on, but you can kind of see the dance, right? They always talk about the dance and those types of sports and kind of the back and forth, which is always fun when you get two people at very high levels competing. And so, to your point of, do you really have to do this? What was it? 142.2, 146.2, 140.6 miles. Yeah, probably not. But there is the possibility of doing it, right? Like where most people are standing right now, could they do it? I mean, yeah, maybe, but like you do have to train for these things. But at the same time, you understand there is a path. Many people have done it before you. I'm not doing it anytime soon, Timmy. But again, I appreciate people like you that are doing it because you are pushing that, right? What is Dr. Bannister running the 4-minute mile? Everyone thought it was impossible. Scientists said, nope, this is absolutely impossible. You can't do it. He does it. Then like the next month, 3 or 4 other dudes do it. Like it's just kind of one of those things that once we believe, once we can see something and actually see that something is possible, we as then human beings will say, oh, okay, that's possible. Let's see who else can do it. Let's see how else can. Yes. Why are we like that? Why can't we? Why are people so negative? I live a life of positivity. I don't believe in negativity. I try and push it out as much as I can, but I have these thoughts, right? Like I have all the, the fight, flight, all those. I still get them. It's controlling them, right? So why can't it just be easier? Why can't we all just believe in what's possible? Timmy, talk to me.
Well, that limbic part of your brain, and I like you mentioned dance, so let's go with that for a second. So the limbic part of your brain, the primal part of your brain, 3 to 5 times stronger. So your default is what's wrong? Where's the next saber-toothed tiger, shall we say? Because it's very primitive. But in the culture we live in, not everything is a saber-toothed tiger. In fact, last time I checked, nobody was running into a saber-toothed tiger. So to your point, how do we live a better life? There's the dance. By being mentally fit, you can do the dance from, okay, I'm in that, what I call your saboteur mode, and now I'm going to dance over to my, what I call the sage. It's your right brain and prefrontal cortex. And to be able to do that dance, just like those athletes that are in a flow, you have to work at that. Some people are better to do the dance, the mental dance, than others. Just like some people are better athletes than others. I think it was, I'll go old school. Larry Bird said, for the basketball fans, if I only practiced on the days I felt like, I probably wouldn't have been that good. I'm sure Larry had some skill, but all the great ones, they don't take it for chance. They work on that dance. So if you want your better self, this 2 to 3 pound thing is the meaning making machine. And so now that we understand limbic system is your saboteurs, that's the voices you hear. I can have a better self, which is right brain, prefrontal cortex. That's like my thrive. If that part of your brain, the first part of your brain, is 5 times stronger, let's put it in athletic terms. That part of your brain can run 5 miles, easy peasies, lemon squeezies. If you want to be stronger than that part of your brain, you have to be able to run at least 5 miles plus at least 800 yards. You know, if that part of your brain could do 500 push-ups, you got to be able to do at least 501. And personally, I'd like to be better than just one, right? That's put some defense in depth. So you have to work on that. So why are you that way? You're just born that way. What can you do to have that? You can do what I call presence exercises, and they are mental fitness workouts. And if you do them, guess what? Just like if you ran every day, you'll become a half decent runner. You know, you'll be able to run. If you do the mental fitness exercises, your brain gets better, and then you show up better. Simple.
What's an easy? I love that answer. I want to go back to the saber-toothed tiger in a second, but what's an easy mental presence exercise that pretty much anyone could do? Even the people that say, "I'm so busy, I have zero time." What's the easiest, simplest thing someone could do to just, again, 1% better every day? That's all we're trying to do.
Breathing.
Awesome. We do that every day. This was the thing that you told me about, breathing through the belly, right? So I've been doing that every time. Yep. Every time I meditate, every morning when I do my meditation, I specifically try and do this. So tell us about it, what it is, what it does, and why people should be doing it.
So I'm not sure exactly what I told you, but here's the deal. So we need to breathe. Got it. And breathing is on automatic pilot. Got it. Makes sense, right? But breathing, just like a lot of other things, how present are we to it? So here's what we know about breath. 1, you need it. 2, if you breathe properly, you actually stimulate your vagus nerve, which is the main nerve running down you to help you chill out. So I think we probably talked about maybe more belly breathing than up. Yeah. So if anybody in your life, you have a baby in your life, watch how they breathe. You'll see their belly go up and down, up and down. We as adults tend to, it's all up in here. And you can see it's like this kind of stuff versus, you know, the stomach in, out, in, out. When that stomach comes back in, think of your belly button coming back to your C-spine. You're stimulating the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is going to settle you down. So think of breath in through the nose. I mean, a lot of people know this. And into your belly, then up into your rib cage, and then out. And then as you're going out, bringing that belly button back to your C-spine. So what can you do? Breathe with more presence. Belly breathe. You can do that in the boardroom. You can do that in the batter box. You can do that making the bet, right? And what's neat about that is if you do that type of work, any type of presence exercise, for 10 seconds or longer, we can show you the fMRIs. Your brain shifts from that limbic over to the right brain and prefrontal cortex. There's the dance. You can work the dance. Instead of it controlling you, I think you would mention this, you can control it. So what happens over time is the more you do that, you get better in shape. So when things happen, saber-toothed tiger, the guy cuts you off, shall we say. Instead of reacting, you can respond. And then when you get really good at like Jedi mind tricks, you choose. I'm choosing this action. You follow? Mm-hmm. Let me put it in sports real quick. And you've had athletes that the guy at the free throw line thinking about the free throw for that college athlete. They've done it a million times. Dude, don't think about it. Just do it, right? But when you are thinking the pressure's on, you're going into that survive part of your brain, and you're going to start thinking it. Good luck. You'll mess it up. So this works for an athlete. This works for the boardroom CEO. This works for the mom, just getting the kids to soccer practice. So, yeah, breath is a great go-to. Just be present to your breath. 10 seconds or longer.
And so with that, so you explained a little bit about the fMRI, or I think was the correct. What exactly does that mean though? When you go from your crocodile brain, if I may, into
Sure.
into your sage, as you've been calling it, like what is physically happening to the body? What are the positives that are going to come out of moving from the one piece of your brain to the other?
Yeah. So all those endorphins that got amped up, you're bringing them back down, because that's also going to produce cortisols and things like that, which this is why we have like hypertension and things like that, because people are revved up, they're red lined, and they never come back down. So one, you're going to bring the body down. When you get into that part of your brain, that's where you have creativity, intuition, imagination, all those more human things versus that, I love the crocodile thing, just I bite or someone bites me. And think about it, Michael, how many people literally live their life at that, I bite or you bite me? I mean, look, we're from the Northeast, right?
I wouldn't have it any other way up here, though. I promise you that. I've been to other places on planet Earth, and I love, I love mankind. I'm not the biggest fan of humans. How does that sound?
Yeah, I hear you.
I wouldn't have it any other way. So I do want to go back to that. I can't remember which book Crocodile Brain was from. I forget. I picked it up from a book. That's not me. But I do want to go back to kind of that example, as you said. And one thing that I've seen, and I'm sure I'm not a rocket scientist in perceiving this, but so many people, right? That saber-toothed tiger isn't a saber-toothed tiger anymore, and it's not even that guy that cut you off. It's your friend didn't text you back in 5 minutes. It's such minuscule things that people, as you said, so many people live on that edge. They're just constantly redlining. Like, what have you seen in people that you've helped, or just things that you've perceived in nature and in humanity, that people are now, everything is fight or flight, everything is just what is the deal? Why have we gotten to the point where like the guy cutting you off does fly you off the handle, or even just someone not saying hello to you or saying thank you when you're waiting for them to back out of the car spot, like, makes people just go absolutely ballistic, when in reality that should be a saber-toothed tiger. That's how your brain should be working.
Yeah.
Does that question make sense? I apologize if it was too wordy.
No, it makes great sense. And the reason why I looked away was part of it is these phones and these apps.
Thought so.
Yeah, but let's go back. So that part of your brain we all have, every sentient being has it, even non-sentient beings have it. So that's your default. Then add to that, how many people really understand, so left brain, right brain, be present, they don't understand that. Then you add, this kind of nonsense where everything is playing you for the holla back, swipe right, I got a date, hit the easy button, I've got my food. So it's just, everything is a hack. Life should be easy. Listen, no one gets out of this alive. In case people haven't heard it, no one's getting out of this alive, and it's not supposed to be easy. Good athletes make things look easy that are very challenging to do, to put it nicely. So whether you're a professional athlete or just driving a car, it's athletic in nature, in performance of it, and understand that you need to think like an athlete. An athlete wants to get better. You should want to get better. But the voices in your head of that limbic system, I call them the saboteurs, are going to tell you, stay on the couch, stay scrolling through Twitter or whatever, just take it easy. And it doesn't work that way. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You follow? So why does it happen? One, your brain. Two, the way society is built. And three, we're often rewarded for that. A lot of what I call our saboteurs, how I show up, it can get the job done. In the saboteur world, I'm a stickler. I'm like a perfectionist. That can be very helpful in getting my job done, the day job, but at what cost? It's like, I hit the home run. I'm trying to bring this back to athleticism. I hit the home run, but if your form's really off, sooner or later that's going to catch up with you. you may be able to get it done at work, but if the relationship's off, sooner or later it's going to catch up with you. You know, most people don't leave jobs, they leave bosses, things like that. So long way around the block. Give me a check-in. Did I answer the question, or do I need to explain more?
I think so. No, I think you did a good job in understanding. Like, I assumed it had a lot to do with phones and news, right? Like, I'm the biggest. I hate 24-hour news. I think it's an absolute joke. The whole thing is to perpetuate negativity so that they can sell more advertising to the people that they're trying to make sure to come back, because the world's about to end tomorrow. I don't know if you heard, Tim, but the world's going to end tomorrow if you watch 24-hour news. So they just want you to keep coming back so they can keep selling their advertising to the pharmaceutical companies. So that's again another self-fulfilling prophecy, kind of beautiful there. But no, it's social media, right? You're rewarded. Your brain says thank you when you do scroll and see something new, right? So you're literally rewarded for sitting on the couch from the social media companies because they figured out how your brain works, and that kind of gets you there. We've all been there. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else. I just put a 15-minute timer on my social media. That just means I can't do it as much as everybody else. That's just like, you kind of have to find those things around it. But I think it's important for people to understand that a lot of this is, I don't want to say not your fault, right? Like, you have power, you have discipline. If you don't get some, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like, yeah, get some, figure it out. I don't know what to tell you. So I guess in that sense, moving down that path a little bit more of kind of this mental fitness and understanding, when did this start to resonate with you to the point of not just hearing about it, right? I've told my friends about these things that I do every single day that I think have improved my life. I don't know if any of them do them. They could talk to me about it if they want. I've talked on this podcast. The people that listen, I'm sure, have heard me talk about these things. When did you personally start to implement some of these things, and not just, the simple things of, breathing, I guess, but like cold showers, meditation, some of these other things that cold showers are the worst. I take one every day. It sucks.
I do too.
For anybody out there, but I love it. I love it every single day. I do it. I love it. And I hate it all at the same time. It's very frustrating. When did you start to find and learn and implement some of these things in your life, and how did it eventually affect it?
Yeah, it's a great question. Candidly, it's when I stopped drinking. Red hair. This used to be red, by the way. Red hair.
How red? What kind of red?
Cherry. Carrot top, dude. It was.
Goodness. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
You look better this way, then. I'm
Thank
sure
you,
of it.
sir. But I used to joke: red hair, good looks, and alcoholism run in the family. I have 2 out of the 3. And so went into a 12-step program, and one of the things is higher power and then prayer meditation. So thus it began. And saw results, positive results from doing that. And it kept me going with this idea of, how I'm built, how we're all built. So there was prayer meditation. Then as an athlete, looking at the mind-body connection, or, our brain turns off before the body does. The body's always got a little bit more. And one of the people out there that really got to me was Dr. Steve Peters. He worked with Team Sky and the U.S. cycling team, the British cycling team. And he's big on what he calls chimp brain. And he worked with athletes where you had like an Olympic caliber cyclist who is in a ball in his hotel room. I can't do it. He was in that fight or flight phase. So I'm like, this is brilliant. Started rolling with that. And it just all kept morphing into my roles as a leader, my role as an athlete. And then eventually what happened was somebody came to me and said they wanted to get to their next level. And they said they were talking to life coaches and folks like that. They said, man, none of them resonated with them. And the person said, I see what you do. I hear what you say. I want what you have. Would you coach me? I was like, I'm not like a life coach, but yeah, sure. Let's try to work it out. And it went really well. And he said, you need to do more of this. And then I went and found a place to get certified. I went up to Brown University. And then one of my classmates from Brown, after we finished the program, turned me on to what's called positive intelligence. This guy named Shirzad Shamin came up with this. And he did all the work through Google and Stanford and all these executives of, here's your brain, here's how it works. We can hack this, so to speak. And so when you add all that up, it's just a fit for me. So now when I coach people, yes, we have a conversation. a coaching conversation deals with a topic that's current, unresolved, and is important to you, and it lends itself to coaching. And through that thought-provoking and creative conversation, we hope you get to your next level. I add to that all my experience in this mental fitness aspect, which is like, that's my niche. You got to have a niche. And so for some people it works. For some, I'm not the appropriate coach, and I'm more than glad to recommend you to someone else. Just like not everybody plays football, right? Not everybody plays baseball. It's cool, but play your sport, do your dance, improve your mental and physical fitness, because that's how you're showing up in life.
And I think by adding all those experiences together, right, the things that you spoke about, kind of what you've been through, how you've been through them, right? Now, I'm sure, I'm not trying to go out on a limb here, but I'm sure there's not too many performance and mental fitness and leadership coaches that did go through the 12-step program, right? Like, I think that's such a unique experience that you're going to be able to tie back to what you've done to help other people, whether that's with alcoholism or anything else, right? It's a 12-step program. It doesn't need to be just about alcohol, right? Like there's many other things that you can utilize that program for. So using that and helping others, I think, is extremely important and can be very helpful when moving forward. And I just think it's awesome that you've been able to find all these different things along the way to be able to help people. And I kind of want to go back to the gentleman over at Brown, if I'm not mistaken. You said the guy who's helping hack brains. Talk to me a little bit more about that, because I think that's something that's super underutilized. There's so many things that we can do as people to, like, simple hacks, right? It's like writing a sticky note down and putting it next to your desk. So every time you look to the left, you see, I used to have one that said, get back to work. And it's just like, shit, yeah, I guess I should get back to work. Like, it's just simple little tiny things like that. I guess, what are some of the things that you learned when either going through that program or speaking with those people, that just things people could do, simple little things, just like breathing, that we could just take one thing away from this and say, hey, if I just started doing that again, I'd be 1% of the 1% better.
Yeah. At Brown University, I learned how to be a coach with positive intelligence, and that gentleman is Shirzad Shamin. I learned more about this mental fitness, but to answer your question, so if you contract up with me and you want to go all in, we do mental fitness, and it comes with an app, it's brilliant. So since we are using this and your computer, well, let's use it, right? Because the phone itself is not bad. It's how much time it takes from you, right? So, okay, we have your saboteurs. We have your sage over here. We have to do the dance. That's what I call presence work. Here's I would call it a PQ rep. It stands for positive quotient. So it's using one or more of your body senses to zone in, be present, okay? So you'll take an initial assessment, just like if you were going to the gym. Let's see what kind of shape you're in, Michael. See what kind of mental fitness shape you're in. Knowing that part of your brain is 3 to 5 times stronger, it's not about just getting in shape. You have to get to a certain level to get ahead of that part of your brain, right? So the level is based on, give or take, 75% or better to be mentally fit. So you take that test, and this is free, and if anybody wants it, can give it to you. I can give you that without contracting. Then you take an assessment to see which saboteur is your main saboteur. Because once we start naming things, we can start taming things. And in that app, he gives you all the exercises. So it could be breathing, it could be touch, it could be hearing, it could be taste, or a combination thereof. And then it's going to track all that and put it into the algorithm so you can see your fitness level going up or going down. That's basically a 6-week program. And then that's just getting you going. Then we get into the good work. So to your point, sounds great. How did I do it? Well, you could do a 20-minute meditation. But I might have a seat here that says, oh, man, I don't know if I have 20 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Do you got 10 seconds? Yeah, I can definitely give you 10 seconds. Okay. Next time you brush your teeth, pay attention to brushing your teeth. So I have an electric toothbrush. So hearing it and just feeling it on each tooth. Noticing, if it's got like a peppermint taste. Swooshing the wood, the water out. maybe flossing your teeth, just being very present to that. You're brushing your well, you should be brushing your teeth. You're brushing your teeth anyway. Make it a presence exercise. Stick with the bathroom. Sooner or later today, you're taking a bio break. And you're probably washing your hands. Instead of just washing your hands, be present to washing your hands. Notice the temperature of the water. Listen to the water. Feel the water. Notice the soap suds. Drying your hands. You can make anything a presence exercise. And I'll venture just a little bit here. I don't want to scare people off, but into the spiritual / religious realm. So I'm Christian, I'm Catholic. So got the Bible, and we have this guy named St. Paul. And Paul talks about pray always. How the heck can you pray always? What he meant was be present always. So be present when you're brushing your teeth. Be present when you're eating. Instead of just inhaling the food, look at how it's plated. Smell it, taste it, enjoy it, savor it. Michael, you can do that same thing with the person you're talking with, right? So this is how we can pray always. This is how we can be present always. This is how an athlete is in the flow. They're being present. And when they start thinking their way through what they're doing, they're probably going to screw it up.
Definitely going to screw it up. But no, I think that's awesome. And thank you for those examples and the things that you've learned. Again, I think that's awesome. That's why I love having people like you on the show, Tim, because I get to learn from you. So I really do appreciate it. And I think, what you're talking about, presence exercises, like I have triggers for certain things, right? Every time I brush my teeth, maybe I'm not paying attention to every single tooth, but every time I brush my teeth, I say 3 things I'm grateful for. Every time I wash my hands, I remind myself that I am not connected to the past self. I'm only connected to the future self, and I can change everything that I want moving forward, right? I'm washing my hands with my past self and, starting my new self, right? So every time I fill up my glass of water, it's, talk to myself about how filling up this cup with, love, happiness, wealth, all these things with the people that I love, right? So it's all these triggers, but I think, the way you're talking about it is more of an awareness. And I've said on this podcast before, I'm going to say it a million times. I think awareness is a superpower. I think people that are actually aware of what's happening around them, to them, for them, through them, to the people around them, people that actually are paying attention are the ones that are going to get ahead, and they're going to get ahead significantly further because, as you're right, they're present. They're actually within the moment. They're not worried about what they're eating for lunch on Tuesday. I'm worried about what I'm eating for dinner because I love cooking. My grandma's Italian, right? That's a whole other thing. But the point is understanding that, being in the moment, understanding and seeing the things around you, right? It's safer when you're driving a car. It's it's better when you're eating that food. You're right, rather than just inhaling that chicken. Like, how did you make it? Who made it? How did they make it? How much love do they put into that kind of thing? So I completely agree with everything you just said, and I love it, and I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, and to echo what you said, Michael, so the first step is be awake. Most people go through life literally and sometimes, and very often figuratively, they're not awake. Then once you're awake, get aware. Now, once you get awake and aware, a lot opens up. And that's when then you can be at choice. So remember, it's I react. When I'm doing better, I respond. When I'm really good, when I'm that premier athlete, premier person, I'm at choice. See, when you're at choice, you have full access of that creative side of your brain. And then you can be creative. And that's how you truly get to your next best your next best level, not just for you, but for the entire team, the humanity. You're right, because a lot of what makes our society not work is people not awake, not aware, and being stuck in that saboteur of I'm right, you're wrong, this is black, this is white. It's just silly. We're so better than that. We are not crocodiles, right? A crocodile is just I'm killing you or you're killing me. That's why we're supposed to be human, and that's what's sad of what's going on. Not that I want to get too philosophical or create a social commentary, but yeah, we're way better than a lot of the nonsense that's going on. So yeah, imagine, if you will, if 25% of humanity got awake and aware. How different would our world look?
Be pretty nice, I bet.
Yeah, I think it would be. So yeah, I think coaching is great for people to have a conversation. Mental fitness is a great practical and tactical way of developing this meaning making machine that's going to affect yourself and everybody else. And know that like the things you were describing, the more you do that, you build that neural pathway to that right side of your brain and your prefrontal cortex. So you can make that dance quicker. Just like if you learn to swing the bat and swing it correctly, it'll come more naturally to you, right? Same thing, developing the, like it's not muscle memory, it's actually brain memory. So same thing with sports, same thing with your mental fitness. You can become an all-star with your mental fitness.
Yeah, and I think it's something way more people, as you said, if we could get 25% of people, how great it would be. Let's start with 1%, right? Like, let's get 1% of people on this train, because I think, right, like the whole thing for me personally has been able to, I guess for lack of a better term, control my thoughts, which it sounds like kind of the choice that you've been describing a little bit, right? Someone cuts me off in traffic, rather than saying like, that asshole, I can say, well, maybe they're having a bad day. You know, maybe they didn't see me. Have I never seen someone before? Right. Absolutely. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt this time, right? And it's been able to, when I do have those negative thoughts, it's rather than, it started out just taking negative thoughts and turning positive. Now it's becoming almost a game with myself. How quickly can I take that negative thought and turn it positive? How quickly can I do that to turn my brain from that crocodile, as we've been talking about, to the saboteur, to the sage, which I think is something that, so many people don't even make it to the first step of getting it to the positive. Let's just get them there, and then hopefully, we can help society. How's that sound, Tim? You and me, we'll do this together.
Sounds great.
Fight the good fight.
We'll do it. Butterfly effect.
I love it. But you're a Phillies fan, right? I think that's the one problem we have.
I'm down by Philly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, I won't tell anybody that. But Tim, this has been absolutely fantastic. I sincerely appreciate the conversation, what you've done, how you've done it, your time in Ironman. We'll have you back on again. Maybe we'll split the time between a little bit more of the Ironman races, as well as being undercover in a high school as a 20-something-year-old. Definitely have a lot more questions about that. But so you said we could do the app for free, the assessment for free. Do you have a URL that you can share with people, or is there a link that you can give me that I can put in the description for everyone to check that out?
I will definitely send you that. Yes. So
cool.
It will lead you to, or lead the person to, Positive Intelligence. They have the saboteur assessment totally free. And they have the mental fitness totally free. And then if you want to work on that, you could grab a Positive Intelligence coach. You could grab me, and we'll help you unpackage that and work you through it. And then if you want to contract, the app, all that good stuff. So, yep, it's all there for us.
Well, where can we either learn more about the business that you do? Do you have a website? What's your email address? Should I send people to LinkedIn? Give us all that, because I'll put all that in the show notes as well.
Yeah, I'll send you all that. So LinkedIn is my primary social media, and it's Timmy Gallagher. And my company, Evolute, EVOLUTE, Evolute Performance. That's on LinkedIn too. And the website's evoluteperformance.com. But LinkedIn's great. In fact, Monday through Friday, every day I post some version of a presence exercise. And then Saturday, we review all those exercises, and we do like an examine, like a meditation on them. And then Sunday is some type of quote to just reflect upon. So I can walk you through it. If you just follow my LinkedIn, you'll have something every day to work on.
Love it. Good stuff, man. Well, thank you so much, Tim. Timmy Gallagher, one more time, mental fitness, leadership, performance coach, multi-time finisher of Ironman races. Absolutely incredible person. Tim, the only things we don't get more of is time. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate the audience's time. Thank you all for very much for giving me some of that. But other than that, man, hope you have a great rest of your day. I appreciate it.
You too, Michael. I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Bye, everybody.